we had to solve a really big problem for the season finale. So that's going to conclude this year's Turkey Day Marathon as well. It's some of our best work, I think. So I'm really enthused about it.
I'm really excited to talk to you about this upcoming Turkey Day and also all the stuff you have coming up with fundraising for season 14. I know that this Turkey Day is going to be a mix of 24 new and classic episodes. What was the selection process like, finding the perfect ones for the occasion? What can fans expect from the lineup?
We wanted to be alert to the ones we usually run. There's just fan favorites that have been perennials, and we wanted to kind of break because we're doing so many, we wanted to break out some fresh ones too, ones that people aren't as used to seeing. We also have, 4 or 5 surgically enhanced, which is our up-res process. It takes them from the original 480p to 1080p. So they're just more, nicer to look at. We included some of those that we've been up-resing. And I don't get that involved with it, to be honest, because I can't really curate my own work. So we have other people that do it. I can't really speak to it because it's kind of, my job is so much about making it and not so much kind of keeping notes on which is the ones people really like. Mm-hmm. So I left that up to a couple other people, namely Matt McGinnis, who's one of our writer producers, as well as Leslie Kinzel, who's our social media person and also one of our writers.
And of course, Mystery Science Theater 3000 is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year, which is awesome. And it's also the 32nd anniversary of Turkey Day, if I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Very good.
Can you talk about how the very first one started and how you've seen it kind of grow since then?
Yeah, it was really interesting because this came from an ad sales executive at Comedy Central. His name was Tony Fox. And, for us, we created, the shows in Minneapolis. They were all made in Minneapolis. We were outside of these kind of, you have to think about the world 35 years ago and how it was so much about New York and LA, and we were really in the middle of nowhere making our show. But this was an idea that came from Comedy Central, came from an ad sales guy, and he came up with the idea of Turkey Day. And he pitched it to us, and we just loved it. We go, wow, we love it. So it was we were always pretty strict about stuff not coming in from the home office, but we really loved that idea. So we ran with it, and it just fits so good. It just was like one of those perfect things for us, is running MSTs. It's so, it seems like in some ways it's the antithesis of the Detroit Lions playing every year.
Looking back at all of the Thanksgiving marathons that have happened over the years, are there any that specifically stick out to you for any reason?
The thing that's mostly on my mind is we probably started 10 years ago bringing them back. And so I kind of think of that, and the 3 that we did prior to our Kickstarter campaign that raised the money for season 11. For season 11, the episodes that are on Netflix, I think it really primed the pump doing those Turkey Days. It kind of rallied people again, and it came out of nowhere for people because they had about 10 or 12 years where there wasn't a Turkey Day marathon. And so getting to bring that back was really cool. And we've been doing them consistently for the last 10 years. So those are the ones I think about when there wasn't much definition. What does this mean that we're bringing it back? And looking back, it really primed the pump for us to do these almost 40 shows that we've done in the last 7 years, including the live shows, the 20 episodes that are on Netflix, and the 13 that were in the Gizmoplex.
And there's also a new fundraising campaign going on right now for the 14th season of Mystery Science Theater. What can you tell me about that?
Right now, our goal is to get to 6 episodes, which is about a total of $4.8 million, and that's about half of what a episode of Star Trek costs.
Mhm.
So we're going for that. I have a feeling we're as of this time, we're getting close to halfway there, or getting close to. I'm not doing the math very well. It's probably a third and a half. But we really need people. If this interests you, we want to encourage people to go to showmaker.mst3k.com. And of course, we'll watch the Turkey Day Marathon telethon, which is 48 hours and 22 episodes. And it'll also conclude with the end of our fundraiser as well. So as you count down, we'll get closer and closer to the end, and hopefully we'll make it.
And I know that this time the fundraising budget is a bit higher in order to create a better sort of pay equity for the entire team, which is especially timely given the recent strikes.
That's right. We had to do the budgets prior to the strike being resolved because we didn't know when the strike would be resolved. So the fees reflect those things in Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, and also represent just a cost of living increase 5% across the board for all our vendors, just because it's more expensive to make the show. So that's part of it. And yeah, I think that's the biggest reason for a price increase.
How do you think this new goal, and in turn, the sort of pay equity that will come through it, will help push the team forward? And what steps do you hope the industry in general can take from now on to achieve something similar?
I don't know. That's kind of out of my pay grade to have that kind of thinking. I can only speak to MST3K, and we always just, this is our third fundraiser, and the proposition is really, if you want more shows, we'll make more shows. If the money's not there, we'll stop making shows. We already feel like we've kind of made history bringing the brand back and doing all these episodes again when no one ever expected us to. So I feel completely creatively sated at this point, getting to do it. So everything else is just would be a wonderful benefit if we get to go further. But it's really just if the appetite's there. If not, there's not a lot of pressure. I wouldn't say it's what was the thing they used to do for National Lampoon? Buy this magazine or we'll kill this dog. They would do like that. This isn't one of those things.
I know, obviously, season 14 itself, production hasn't started yet because the fundraising is not over. I know that the entire cast of season 13, though, has an open invitation to return. Have there been any talks about people who would plan to come back if the season does end up being made?
It's really too soon. It's been so complex with the Writers Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, and all those things kind of concurrently happening. So not much has moved forward. We really are leaving that up to we clearly invited everyone back, so everyone knows that it's on if we have the good fortune of getting to do it. Everyone who was in the cast last season will be back.
In terms of sort of just creative visions or goals for this next possible season, are there any particular genres or creators or decades that you would love to explore next season?
To us, it's about the world of the Gizmoplex, like what happens next season and how it gets affected. So it became kind of a character in the show. It's our own online theater that is also in-world theater. And so we're really excited about that, want to explore that and see what can happen with it. But that's really, kind of like the universe is all around that area. Moon 13, what's King and Max doing? What's Dr. Cabal going to be doing? And some of the characters that there are a few characters from seasons 11 and 12 that we want to use as well and bring back.
In terms of the episodes that are featured in this upcoming Turkey Day Marathon Telethon, do you have any favorites?
Surely my emphasis is on the new episodes because we're so familiar with the old ones. So what you're seeing The four that we've selected that you'll see will be the ones that I chose, that I thought I really want you to see these. And I guess the biggest one for me was last year's Christmas Dragon, which was the season finale. And that included all our current hosts, which is Jonah, Emily, and myself. And we had to solve a really big problem for the season finale. So that's going to conclude this year's Turkey Day Marathon as well. It's some of our best work, I think. So I'm really enthused about it.
With this being such a sort of longstanding tradition, it's definitely made its way as an event, I feel like, to a lot of families or groups of friends who are spending the holiday together. They also wind up spending their time watching this marathon each year. How does that feel for you guys to be sort of ingrained into people's holiday traditions in that way?
I love it. And as a kid who watched really a lot of TV, Thanksgiving is a big TV day when I was growing up. Of course, the parades in the morning, and then over time, things like the Twilight Zone marathon started happening, and other cable channels. Around when Mystery Science Theater started Turkey Day, that's when other cable channels started to do other marathons. It just lends itself so well, I think, because at Thanksgiving, everyone's a little displaced to be together, and everyone can drift out of the kitchen and then into the TV room and then back into the kitchen. And somehow, in both places, there's a turkey cooking. I just put that together. I just made that up. I got to remember that. But anyway, that's what I think about Thanksgiving. I'm thrilled to be it really makes me happy that we're part of families getting together and watching TV. There's some of my favorite stories that I hear from Mystery Science Theater fans as their experiences with Turkey Day.
I know we're out of time, and that does it for my questions, but it was really great to get to talk to you about this. And I'm very excited for Turkey Day.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it, Devin, and have a great Turkey Day.